Hi friends! Today we're talking about preparing for winter on the ranch and homestead and what we do to make sure that animals and people are taken care of through the cold winter months. We'll talk about livestock feed and water, general fall cleanup that makes winter work easier, and a quick overview of what we prepare for our family that supports us through the winter as well as the rest of the year. Let's get to it! Hey friends! Welcome to the Get Goat-Wise podcast. Are you longing to raise goats and other animals for food but don't know where to start? Do you want to be more self-sufficient and less dependent on the grocery store? Do you wish you had a mentor to walk you through raising livestock? Hi, I'm Millie, animal scientist, cattle girl turned goat rancher, co-owner of Dry Creek Livestock, and simple living enthusiast. For 15 years, I've been on a mission to raise all of our own meat, eggs, and dairy. Here, we'll talk about raising goats and other homestead livestock, how to create sustainable animal management systems that actually work, and a bit of off-grid life with kids and livestock. If you're ready to take control of your food supply, raise livestock with confidence, and provide your family with the most nourishing meat, eggs, and dairy available, you're in the right place. Kick off your muck boots, pour a cup of coffee, and let's talk livestock. Hey friends! Can you believe we're already at episode 77 of the Get Goat-Wise podcast? We're marching toward 100 episodes, and I'd love to celebrate by hitting 100 reviews on Apple Podcasts. Some of you have already clicked on over and left a review, and if you're one of those folks, thank you. But if you haven't, and this podcast has encouraged you or helped you in your livestock raising goals, it would be a blessing to me if you would take 30 seconds to leave a review. Just search Get Goat-Wise on Apple Podcasts, scroll down to Ratings and Reviews, tap Write a Review, give me some stars, and share a quick thought. Your review helps more families discover the show, which means more people taking control of their food supply, and that is what this is all about. Here's what's happening on the ranch. The bottle calves had their last bottle on Friday, and they are officially weaned and on their own. They were down to 1 bottle a day, and it was only a quart each, so it shouldn't be a hard transition for them. But they are bottle calves, so they'll complain loudly about it. With the calves weaned, I'll only be milking for soap and what we consume, but since I don't have bottle babies to feed, I may stop milking and dry them up sooner than usual. The big focus around here is building fence and preparations for winter with a little bit of hunting in between fence jobs. Typically, we'd spend a big weekend cutting firewood, but we're well stocked with firewood right now, and we don't go through very much compared to when we lived in town. So we probably will not be cutting firewood this year. Let's talk about winter prep first on the ranch. Things that we need to do. We need to clean the barn. It still looks like we just unloaded from county fair, so we need to spend a couple of hours organizing, putting things away, and just get it done. I've turned the young chickens loose in the barn pens because they'll help us a lot when it comes time to clean the pens. I sprinkle scratch grains in the pens that need cleaned, and they'll scratch through and loosen up all the stuff that's packed down tight, so when we go to clean the pens, it'll be a lot easier. As we clean, we'll probably go ahead and spread manure directly on the pastures. If it doesn't look quite ready to go on the pastures, we may put it in the compost pile first. Then we'll get the barn set up for raise 4-H steer and panels to keep the chickens from going everywhere and pooping on everything. But with plenty of space, we'll combine the 2 groups of hens in the barn and close up the chicken trailer for the year. I think we'll also be setting up the Lakeland goat working facility in the barn, but I don't have a plan on that for sure yet. Outside, we need to clean outside pens and spread manure. We'll definitely get the 4-H steer pen cleaned and spread that manure, and if time allows, we'll clean the buck pens. They're in pretty good shape, but it never hurts to tidy them up before winter. We'll also organize the things that are stored outside, so like fence materials, troughs, things like that. We'll make sure everything is in its correct place and get it covered if it needs covered. That way, If we get a lot of snow, we'll know where everything is. Okay, as far as livestock, feed and water. Let's talk about the goats, the cows, and the horses first. Hay. We are ready for winter. This is by far our most expensive input, as it is for most anyone raising livestock, and we took care of that in the summer. As far as horses and cattle, we'll feed when they need it. Some years we don't have to feed horses at all because they're very good at pawing through snow for feed. The cows need at least some feed almost every year, and we watch them closely to see when they'll need supplemental hay. The goats are our big consumers of hay right now, and that's because we're limited on early spring and fall grazing because of our fence. The electric netting is great when temperatures aren't freezing, but once we start freezing every night, the posts freeze into the ground and we risk ruining the netting trying to move it. So we have to wait in the spring until the frost comes out of the ground and we're not freezing hard at night before we can start using electric netting, and in the fall, we stop using it once we're freezing regularly. Each year we build a little more permanent fence, and when the current fence plan is finished in the next couple of years, I expect our hay feeding to be cut in half, and that will be amazing. Mineral. It doesn't have to be stockpiled. We go through it pretty fast between what we use and what I sell, but I like to make sure I have everything I need on hand to mix up at least 250 pounds. Water. We'll check the hoses and the troughs and replace any that are beyond their useful life. Feed for Ray's steer. This will be Ray's last year in 4-H, and he's going to do another steer. So we'll go ahead and get a pallet of feed because it stores well in the cold weather, and it's nice to know we're prepared as far as feed goes. Chickens. Feed. We store a lot more feed in the winter than we do in the summer because it's cold and stays good longer, so I'll need to get a load of chicken feed. Equipment. We will check the feeders and waterers, see what kind of condition they're in, and replace any that are broken. And we will also get nesting boxes set up in the barn. Next, we need to prep our winter electric fence pens. Now, these are a little different. This isn't a pen that we're going to move once it's in for the winter. We'll use semi-permanent netting, and this year we'll have one set up for bucks and one that surrounds the 4-H steer pen because we'll be feeding the goats outside of the night trap on a feed row. And if they're outside of the night trap, they can access the steer hay. So we need to build a surround around the steer pen. This is a new project this year, feeding goats out. We've wanted to do it for a few years, but we just didn't have everything contained. So they could have gotten into the hay, they could have gotten into the barn, they could have gotten to the steers, they could have gotten in so much trouble. So we haven't done it yet. This year, we got the hay all contained and covered. They cannot get in that anymore. Once we get the steer pen cleaned and the electric enclosure put back up around that, the goats can't get into anything. So that will be great. Once the snow falls, we'll start putting the hay for the goats outside of their pen and let them out to eat, and then they'll go back in for the night. The goal is to get more litter and manure out on the pasture without having to spread it. So we're going to let the goats do it for us. We have been researching spreading seed on the feed row before we put the hay down, so I need to make some decisions there and get seed ordered if that's what we decide to do. And that pretty much covers the livestock. For the people, firewood. I mentioned it earlier. If what we have is sufficient for the year, we probably won't cut any more this fall and put that time toward fence. Food. Our freezers are full. We have 1 beef and 2 hogs for our family of 5. No chicken this year because we didn't raise any, and we'll have goat meat about once a month, so that'll be 1 whole goat. We eat simple meals, especially since we moved off grid and don't have a lot of the conveniences we had in town. We keep several 5-gallon buckets with flour, sugar, salt, wheat, beans, and barley, and we rotate through those. They are all sealed in Mylar for long-term storage, but we go ahead and use them and replace them with fresh. I need to go through those and refill any empty buckets. Spices and seasonings are usually replaced as we open a new one, but I'll check those too, as well as things like baking powder and baking soda. Our challenge right now is with things that can be ruined by freezing because our storage space is so limited. In our current building project, there will be a temperature-controlled place for food storage, and I'm very excited for that. Meanwhile, though, we don't keep a huge amount of canned goods on hand. I may experiment this winter with freeze-drying things like canned tomatoes so that we can still have them stored and not worry about freezing, ruining them. Fuel. We keep a decent supply of fuel for the generators and skid steer, and that's a regular year-round thing, so not much change there, other than we run the generator more in the winter, so we'll be filling those more often. For propane, our fridge and cook stove run on propane, and we fill that tank about twice a year. It was just filled, so we should be good for a while. I monitor that regularly and make sure we're on the list early in case our road gets bad and the propane truck can't get in here. Building project. We've been working on our latest building project for a couple years, but it's just us, so it's hard to carve out the time to do it, and we just do what we can when we can. Last winter, we got the roof on. If we can get the west-facing wall finished up, we'll be undercover for the rest of the work and could make some good progress this winter, even when the snow flies. That project will either wait until we're wintered out building fence, or we have a good break between fence jobs to get it finished. I'm including this in the winter prep because if we get that part of the building done, we can keep building through the winter as much or as little as we want to. We don't live in a place that is totally isolated or that we couldn't get out of if we really wanted to. We have the equipment to clear our roads and go places, and we do that. But I don't like to run out of things and have to go to the city if I don't want to or if the weather's bad. I feel like our fall preparations make for a peaceful winter. We think ahead about what might cause problems, like not having pens cleaned and then having trouble with gates all winter long. It's so much easier to deal with that now instead of trying to chip frozen crap out of a gate opening when it's minus 20 degrees Fahrenheit. Thinking ahead and preparing makes room for the times when things don't go the way we plan. Problems are easier to deal with when we've eliminated potential issues that could have made the situation so much worse. I hope this episode helps you plan for winter and decide what preparations you can take care of now that will give you a peaceful winter to rest, learn, and spend on indoor projects that get pushed aside during the busy summer months. If there's anything about our off-grid life you'd like to know more about, send me an email, millie@drycreekpastures.com, and if you have any questions, come on over to the community and start a conversation. That's at getgoatwise.com/community. See you next week. Hey there, thanks for listening today. I'm so glad you're here. If this episode helped you or encouraged you in some way, share the link with your homesteading friends. And if you really want to help me out, click on over to Apple Podcasts and leave a rating and a review. You can connect with me on Instagram or email linked in the show notes, and meet me back here soon for more Get Goat Wise.